Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian at Whisper Status 74. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you are seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. We are real tech for real people. Today's video, we have a very, very special guest, dear friend, owner, and founder of Value Electronics, Mr. Robert Zone. Robert, welcome to the channel.
Thank you, Brian, very much for inviting me back again. I love being on the panel with you, and I love your members. You have a great class of people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Today, we actually have pretty big Sony news. I know you are extremely busy. The LG C1 and G1, the TV season has kicked off, but one of the most sought after and long awaited panels is releasing. Got some news from me. I'll have you deliver it to our followers.
Yes, thank you. And the reasons that it's well sought after and in very high demand is, and we're talking about Sony's new 2022 X95K. And so again, to go into some of the features that Sony has enhanced and upgraded this year, this is the first time Sony is selecting to use mini LED. And that's because there is a new 2022 mini LED module that is blacker, brighter, has more LEDs and more local dimming zones. So Sony was compelled to upgrade the X95 series with the new K 2022 with this new mini LED panel. It is brighter than any mini LED has ever been before. It's also much deeper and richer in blacks. So the minimum luminance level, the blacks are much more have much more depth to them. And now that they've added their famous Backlight master drive, which everybody knows how great that is from Sony, they're also using the XR processor, the world-class processor. And this is the second generation of that processor with more power, more memory, and it's been retuned to match the capabilities of this new mini LED panel that has a larger dynamic tonal range, better color volume, and now they're going to show all the detail from black to 0.5% luminance, 1% luminance. You'll see it climbing in luminance in every single step. This new, much larger dynamic tonal range gives the panel a more dimensional, almost naturally 3D look to it. It is a dream when you watch 4K HDR content. I've seen it 3 or 4 times already at different private events that Sony invited me to, several times at headquarters in San Diego, with the engineers and product managers side by side with me, reviewing all the enhancements and updates that they've done. I've seen it side by side with X95J and OLEDs. It kind of almost looks like an OLED on steroids because of its high dynamic range, the high peak lumens that it has. For LCD lovers, this is a dream TV. I've also was invited to Sony's, of course, we're Diamond dealers, to the New York City press conference for the Diamond dealers. And that was just a couple of weeks ago where we reviewed it again with more detail. The other advantage that we have, and the other big news, is we were able to get Sony to launch 2 weeks earlier and include our company in that first early launch with a limited supply, limited allocation. But starting the week of April 11th, and maybe a day or two earlier, we will have Sony's first shipment of 75-inch and 85-inch X95K. Again, with the new mini backlight, mini LED backlight master drive, the new second generation of the XR processor. You're going to see some very, very nice enhancements in the operating system. In the, of course, the detail of the image, you're going to see a more detailed image, a more dimensional looking image. You're going to see the full color volume all the way up to 100% peak lumens. I'm not allowed to talk about the measurements of peak lumens at this point, but on April 11th, I will be disclosing the very nice pricing. Sony is not launching at a high price and coming out with much lower prices as the year moves on.
Yeah.
Like always, the prices will go down, but they will go down very slowly and moderately. So you don't have to feel bad about buying early and then seeing the prices drop. They will drop, but they will drop modestly and infrequently. So you're not going to be buying at a high price and seeing prices drop. They will drop, but they will drop moderately.
What I
This is a crazy good advancement, and we're getting them quite a bit earlier than originally planned. So the week of April 11th for 75 and 85 inch, they'll be introducing the 65-inch X95K 3 weeks later. So
Okay, that's not bad at all.
75 and 85. On the same day, April 11th, we will also have available and the price for the 65-inch X90K. The advantages of the 95K would be the mini LED, the backlight master drive. You will also have the anti-glare filter on the X95 that's not on a 90K.
Mhm.
And you'll also have the X-wide viewing advantages. So those are some of the advantages. The mini LED is the big advantage there.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
happy for the X90K to not have the X-wide viewing angle.
That's correct.
So
We all
it'll
respect it.
appreciate a higher contrast ratio. And we talked about
Yes.
this last year, was the X90J was left on an island for 4 or 5 months before the X95J was released, kind of putting it by itself against Samsung's best. And I'm thrilled the X95 will be not only out a few weeks from now, but to have you have it early is
Yes.
it shows you that Sony's not playing around this year and they're taking the LED
Right.
lineup serious.
That's right. Thank you. Very true. It's really nice to see these TVs advance so significantly in the last 2 years, actually, more than we've ever seen before. If you own an X95J, you have a great TV. There's no reason to feel bad or to think that you have to upgrade. You have a great TV. Enjoy that for many years ahead. But if you're considering any new television, the X95J and the X90J should be on your top of your list for
Yeah,
this.
well, when the X95J was a total style change from the 950H and 950G, it
Yes.
was very premium. But as we remember when we unboxed it at your location, it was rather thick, which made it feel more premium. Do you think part of the choice with mini LED was to bring a more streamlined design as well as better control of the backlight algorithm?
Well, yes. The other advantages are, backlight. That's correct. And wait till you see a mini LED, the new mini LED with the backlight master
Oh
drive.
my, that's the biggest. I
It
mean,
is
to me,
crazy good. It is shockingly good. It's
yeah,
stunning to see this in person and to see it on a large screen size. It's really an enjoyable experience for watching your favorite content and getting that full immersive experience of what I know everybody says it, but it's the right terms of the filmmaker's intent for
yeah,
you to see how they wanted you to see this content. And that is important because you get all the emotion and all the feelings out of the content that you
absolutely.
wouldn't otherwise really have.
Well, for us that love LED, I know being somebody who had moved over to OLED a few years ago, you know me
Yes,
that I'm always rooting for the specular high. I do miss the specular highlights of an LED. I do want to see those few thousand nits.
that's
It's
right.
just giving up the lack of blooming. That I think even on mini LEDs, I'd still seen blooming on some of them. So that's
Yes.
why I thought Sony was staying with LED. I'm glad they're moving to mini LED
Yeah.
because their algorithm is fantastic. But I would love to move back to LED. That's where
Yeah.
I love OLED, but LED still has my heart. Tell me a little bit about the backlight master drive, Robert, because you've had a history with that
Yes.
particular component since the Z9D.
Yeah. Well, what it is, it's a much better backlight system that will give you much less of the glow and halo around bright objects. So it's not gone, but it is significantly improved. It's been greatly enhanced. And the backlight master drive is the reason for that, along with the processor that knows how to control the backlight. So it's a combination of the processor, the new second generation XR processor, working and knowing how to control that backlight master drive on this new mini LED. So Sony is very, very, very smart about the firmware, the software, how to control these systems and they're, partners with Sony Pictures and Sony Professional Broadcast Group, and they all work together to make this picture what you would hope and dream for. So this is a very, very big upgrade year.
Well, the backlight master drive, its history with the Z9D, and I tell many
Yes.
that are new to the industry, is that we had more blooming after the Sony Z9D than we had back then in 2016. So they went from the Z9D to the Z9F, and then we had, I believe, the Z9G, which the backlight master drive came
Yes.
back. We
Yes.
lost it for the Z8H.
Yes.
But it is a big move, Robert, to put it back into their 4K lineup. It shows me they have faith in 4K.
Yes. And with the many hundreds, if not thousands, of backlight zones, having it controlled with the backlight master drive and the new processor that knows how to manage that, you're going to see great detail in the images. You're going to see wonderful high peak lumens with color volume, with minimal blooming, very, very minimal. I actually call it a non-issue this year. This is a wonderful technology advancement for video display.
Yeah, I was personally shocked that backlight master drive was being added. I was excited, but I remember we spoke about this when the Z9G released 3 years ago, I think it was. It was very expensive at 85, but I remember you discussing the master drive itself was a few $1,000s.
That's right.
So they've found a way to make it more affordable, but to put it down in their 4K panel has a lot of us excited that aren't ready to make that 8K jump.
Yes.
And I do like that Sony has continued to have a 4K flagship. I think, at least I had thought, they were going to force us 8K between Sony and Samsung, but to deliver quality panels at their 4K flagship. Now, I know it's not a master series though, Robert, right? It's not considered a master.
That's a very good point. It's not a master series, but for this year, and this is the first time we're doing this at our TV shootout, we're including the X95K in our shootout. Now, typically, it's only been the flagship models, and
very cool.
That is not their flagship model. It is their flagship 4K mini LED. It is their top of the line, but they have OLED TVs that are master series. But we've decided that it's so worthy to be. I couldn't sleep. I had to put it in.
So it's good. So we're gonna have our 4K, our true 4K lineup will actually have the Sony.
Yes.
The A90J, the new version of the A90J will be in there as well.
Yes, it will be.
And then it'll go against the others, and then we'll have what, the Z9K go with the 8K.
Yeah, for the 8K event, it'll be the Z9K, which also has the backlight master drive.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Yeah.
And a new mini LED panel also. So in the 4K, we're going to have from Sony the A90J. We're talking about the smaller 42 and 48 inch A90K. We'll have the quantum dot OLED A95K as well.
Wow.
And the X95K. So Sony's going to have a lot of products because they're worthy. So
we're gonna have to use that side wall instead of the front of the room if we're using the same room this year.
That's right. It's going to be in the same room, but we're going to use the side wall. You're right.
What sizes are we going to use this year for the shootout? You think we're going to go all 65 then to make room?
I think it will be all 65-inch class and probably larger, 75 to 77-inch class on the 8K event.
Yep.
And our TV shootout will be July 9th, Saturday for 4K, and July 10th for our 8K TV shootout. And
we are going to have them go head-to-head this year. The 4K versus, and it's going to be 4K playing 4K versus probably the same content in actual 8K this year.
That is also true.
Oh my God, I would love to have seen the ZX last year, but we'll see the Z2 this year. Anything you want to share in regards to the Z9K? Just the excitement you have for that panel. I know we can't share prices or release dates, but the Z9K to me is going to be an absolute monster.
I think I might be able to give you release dates on Z9K, and Z9K is the 8K. Mini LED, and I'm going to have the first allocation on the week of May 16th, and I'll be able to release the prices and deliver them the week of May 16th.
And what sizes are we looking at? Again, 75 and 85?
Correct, 75 and 85. The 85 inch is going to come out 1 week later. the week of
Okay.
May 23rd.
So we
75.
so going back to the X95, we will be there whenever this is for you guys watching. We will be there. Spare Change and I will film the unboxing of the X95. And
Yes,
then I will also have an X90K at
that's right.
65 to bring home and to test. We'll unbox
That's
that
correct.
one at the store. What I will do for you guys as well, because this will be a big question, is a few days after I'll return to the store and we'll do some gaming
Good.
to see how the backlight is affected. I know VRR out of the box this year, which is big news, Robert.
Yes, that's correct. So we will have variable refresh rate the day you take it out of your box. That's correct.
Excellent. So we'll have VRR. We'll show you the X95 because we're only going to have that in 75 and 85 for the first until it releases in the 65. But I'll have an X90. We'll focus on that here. But the X95 we're going to keep in store. The allocations are very small. So it's so important to be able to, we get it out of the box, it's calibrated, QC'd, and that's a lot of the panels that you see we filmed during a break-in process, Robert. But they're pretty much spoken for the minute they get into the store. But I am so happy because last year it was allocations of 1, 2, 3. It was painful last year, Robert.
Yes, that's correct.
And we had customers dying for them, and you're like, I really, and I know you can share this, Robert. I know that you were getting the information so daily on things coming out. It was so hard for you guys to just be able to promise your customers, hey, I'm hearing this little by little. So you feel like that's going to be a little better for you guys this year?
Allocations in particular?
Just as far as on they're releasing them earlier, but that you're
Right.
going to get them when they say they're shipping.
Right. Yes, I will. And, they will be very tightly allocated. Sony is very kind to us, and we do get a very fair and, might I even say, generous allocations. So
Absolutely.
we'll be in pretty good shape, but they're not going to be abundant for anybody.
Now, Robert, I know you have, I know you don't like to talk much about this, but I know you do have feedback in regards to speaking directly to Sony engineers. And
Yes.
we've talked about you really pulling for that backlight master drive to return for the last
Yes.
3 years or so. So those of you guys that see Robert in the comments, you have anything you want him to share with engineers, he talks to them. I've met several of them at the shootout. They're very, very nice people,
Yes.
ridiculously knowledgeable. But
Yes.
he does have the input. The input isn't just here and there. He does talk to them, and he has input on what goes into these displays. So I thanked Robert. As soon as I heard the backlight master drive was included, I shot him a text and said, thank you for bringing it back.
Yeah.
Especially
Well,
the 4K.
I'm very blessed to be one of the 5, it might be 6, people that were hand selected by Sony's top management to be on what they call, this is their language, the council.
Mhm.
So I'm on Sony's council,
Yep.
meaning that we sit with the engineers and product managers. They talk about the future products, and they ask for us to give them feedback on enhancements and even fixes of things that we want to see fixed on current products, past products, and future products. About 2 years ago, when I was at one of those meetings, I raised my hand and they said, what? I said, bring back the Z9D with the backlight
I remember
mask.
you telling me that. I
And
saw
they
you.
said, oh, that's a 2016 product. I said, I don't care. Call it a Z9K. I don't care what you call it. Give me back the Z9D.
You were saying you were adding that backlight master drive conversation when it wasn't even prudent. Like, hey,
That's
Robert,
right.
you want something to drink? Yeah, I'd like a backlight master drive, please.
That's right.
Now, Robert,
Well,
back to
I've been
the
a strong proponent for Sony to. It is a very expensive, as you brought up earlier.
yeah.
Very expensive for them to control the backlight and all those LEDs. Now, I am not claiming the Z9D was the only year that they actually dimmed each individual LED.
Yeah.
But with this new enhanced mini LED panel that nobody's ever seen before, this is not like mini LED from 2021. This is a 2022 panel. There's more mini LEDs and there's more zones as well.
Yeah.
So they are controlling the zones, but the zones are numerous.
Yeah, I can't wait. Well, having one of those is amazing. Having the both of them in tandem. And
Yes.
again, for them to put that into their 4K display, I thought for sure that would be a Master Series
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
on their 8K. But I love that the step down, again, they haven't forgotten their 4K crew, especially with LEDs. And I do like that Sony has simplified their 4K lineup a little bit more with the X80, the X90, the X95, whereas like Samsung has a 6, 7, 8, 9, a 95. it gets to be where there's 8 or 9 models that
Yeah.
are very confusing. Sony's is pretty, and they used to have more of these models. Now I like that they have them pretty flat out. I know we did discuss this also, and it's a big question, is that why the X95 doesn't have a 55-inch? And I know you had said that a lot of focus groups had said that that
Mhm.
wasn't a big seller for them, Robert,
Yeah.
in that
Well,
particular flagship.
yeah. I still encourage them to have a 55-inch and
Yep.
even smaller screen sizes, because there is, it depends upon the focus group that you have
Yep.
and who you talk to. For my clientele who enjoys premium television, which is what our specialty is, we get a high demand for smaller screen sizes.
Yep.
They will be 65, 75, and 85-inch.
Yep. But it's kind of like the
90 will go down to, I think, 43, definitely 50. I think it's 43.
okay. So they
Check.
like to think that their mid-level will have all the sizes for everyone.
Yes.
But I remember you telling me this when the X95 came out, that in their focus groups at the flagship level,
Mhm.
55 really was not a big seller, which is they didn't just get rid of it because they felt like it, but it was actually
Yes.
an issue for them as they weren't selling well. So I think that for a lot of people asking, that's why you're not seeing a 55-inch. I think they found it to be redundant and it bumped into the lower end.
Mhm.
So that's why you're not seeing a 55-inch. But I think the X90, from what we've said, is a lot more like last year's X95
Mhm.
than because I know I liked the X90 last year. I know people thought that it was cheaply built and it got pretty beat up
Yeah.
online. I enjoyed having it.
It's
From what I understand, it's going to be a big improvement, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is another big improvement on the X90K as well. It has more local dimming zones. It's a backlight system, but it has more local dimming zones. It is going to be brighter this year. It'll in the popular cinema mode, it'll reach over 1,000 nits.
Excellent.
It will be blacker also. It'll have the new Gen 2 XR processor
Yeah.
retuned again. So yeah, the X90K is another nice upgrade for the 2022 model year.
And I know we're not talking prices with them, but I think last year having the X90 alone, its price was pretty high because the X95 wasn't there to help balance it. Once the X95 had come out, it did knock that price down. So hopefully having them so close, actually in the same day, especially the 65 being so popular, that'll be affordable for everyone to grab this 65. Do we know when the other sizes for the X90? Do we have an idea? Will they be much later in the year?
I can look that up. I have this
You don't
little.
have to share it, just if it's going to be much later.
I can say what the dates are. I can't announce prices at this
Okay.
time.
And we're going to do prices, guys, on one of these on a Sunday,
Yes,
which they release at 3 a.m. That's why we do
that's right.
these on Sundays. This one today is just slipping in some X95 news, but go ahead, Robert.
So 65X90K, as we said earlier, will be the same date as the 75 and 85 X95K, which is the
Okay.
flagship model. And that'll be this April 11th for the 65-inch X90K. 1 week later, we'll have the 55-inch X90K, 1 week later.
Okay.
And then the 75-inch and 85-inch X90K will be a week later again, April 25th.
Now, for you guys, Robert, when can they start ordering from your website? If you're getting them early, how does that work for you guys as far as
Thank you.
allocation?
Well, we do offer what we call a proprietary wait list. So you just email me your name, address, and phone number, put the model and size that you're interested in the subject line, and you get on to our priority wait list. We go by first in, first out. They're tightly allocated. So that just obligates us to reserve one for you, but you're not obligated to buy it. There's no deposit and no payment until it's ready to ship. And when we call you and tell you it's available from the very first allocation that Sony will ship to anybody, we're included, you can tell us yes or no at that point. Or
Excellent. When will they have that capability, Robert, for you guys?
immediately right now.
Right now. So as the time this
All
video
TVs.
excellent. So this video will go live and then you guys can
Yeah.
go ahead and pre-order. I know that's a very, very popular panel from Sony. So Robert, I think we covered
Technically
everything.
not a pre-order, it's a
Yep,
reservation.
reservation. Yeah, but I mean, you're still looking at, if you've seen the coverage we've had with the LG C1 and G2, you're looking at a few weeks before they're available anywhere. And I know when we do share the prices, a lot of times people will say, hey, it's not available on their website yet. The websites from the manufacturer typically last
Yeah.
to update. So what we share with you price wise, that's why we release them at 3 a.m. Robert's able to release it then. But these are, and the prices that will be released, as you've mentioned many times, Robert, a lot of these sneak peek prices are not accurate. And even if they are, they can change on a dime, which is why we don't like to release them until we can, because Sony can change them at the moment's notice.
That is correct. That is correct. And the
Excellent.
reason that it's 3 a.m. is because these companies use the Pacific Standard Time. So
Yep.
it's actually 12:01 a.m.
Yep.
Pacific time that we're allowed to announce. And since we're on the East Coast, that's 3 a.m. for us.
So
So
I've
you and I both set our alarm clocks to wake up before
yeah,
3 a.m. so we can get on our
yeah,
websites and everything.
and those videos have been premiering at 3:01, and we've had a couple
That's the
hundred
legal
people
time. That's
watching at 3 o'clock.
I know.
Which is amazing. All right, Robert, I know we're going to save some stuff for this weekend. We'll do another one of these on a Sunday. We typically do them every Sunday. Robert, any parting shots? I mean, for me, I'm just grateful to have you make the time, especially during the middle of the week, and you are immensely busy. Um, but we will be down there whenever these TVs arrive at a moment's notice with Shane from Spare Change to do an unboxing and full features. I will then be back to do a gaming component on it for you guys. I know Robert also is always taking some of the critiques of gaming to the engineers as well, guys. So, he still has that communication. But Robert, anything you want to add before we sign off?
Well, thank you. Nothing that comes to the top of my head, other than a very sincere thank you for again inviting me on the channel, and to all of your wonderful visitors and members, and so many of which have reached out to me. You have a nice quality membership.
They're nice people. We have
Yeah,
a
nice
very
people.
positive group, and they're
Yeah,
very
I think
happy to
you attract that, and then you emulate that as well. So thank
thank you. I think these videos for me personally, for them to see your passion, that this is not a sales thing, even though you are a store, it's not a sales thing. And it's just to be able to see you geek out. And again, we've been talking about the Backlight Master Drive off camera for the last, and I know we had this conversation in front of the Z9G when I first
That's
shot that 3 years ago. And you were talking about, hey, it's not coming back. I'm trying to push it to come back. And here we are with a lot of your input, getting the best feature I think Sony has with LEDs back in the mix, especially with 4K. I'm very excited.
Thank you. Likewise, we share that enthusiasm. This is crazy good.
Awesome. Check the description below for all of Robert, Wendy, and Leanne's information of Value Electronics. You guys have seen them all over the channel. Amazing people, genuine, honest, and they are very, very dear friends. Robert, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Brian, and for all who are listening today. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. All the best.